A true legend, my favorite legend. I shouldn't have favorites. We had Rod Woodson on the show. We've had like a lot of Hall of Famers, but Calvin Johnson is the Davante Adams Hall of Famer, Lions legend of note. 3-time All-Pro. You are the best. And how about those Detroit Tigers? Second best record in baseball.
How about them? Yeah, they're keeping it rolling since last season. I love it.
You look cool as shit. Like, what is this? What is happening right now? You look so cool.
I'm in Florida. Yeah, I'm getting some sunshine. Yes.
Yeah. From the slopes to Miami. I don't know. Which do you prefer? You do it all.
Don't ask. That's tough. I don't know if I'd rather be on the mountain on my snowboard or on the beach. I don't know.
You look awesome. It's great to see you. I mentioned the Detroit Tigers thing off the top because it's got to be because they're a proud partner of Primitive Performance, right?
That it's got to have something to do with it. We came into the mix last year, and they got into the playoffs out of nowhere, and then look at them this year. So I would like to believe that.
You were at a game last weekend with Kirby Joseph. I remember once you said on my show, I don't hang out with the wide receivers. I go and I hang out with the DB. So you were not lying. What was this like?
No, it's cool. I love Kirby, man. He brought his brothers with him too, so he had his family in the house. But no, we were there supporting a great cause, and it really we got a company that they're bringing fund recovery. They're bringing vending machines with not so long, so that people can try to reverse their overdoses around cities that have the most that are most impacted by the opioid pandemic. So really just trying to put our support behind them and their efforts, and that's why we were there at the game, celebrating with them.
I didn't know that. I think that's so amazing. I was just looking at, I was this morning looking at Detroit Tigers news here. They're on track to make back-to-back playoff appearances for the first time in over a decade. Okay. But since like Verlander and Miggy Cabrera, I know that it all started with a Primitive deal last season. So if the Yankees or the Guardians come to you, Calvin, and say, we see what you've done for Detroit, we want in on this now, what's the answer?
Oh, it's very easy for us. We've already set the path forward. So, anybody can really, any organization, collegiate or professional, really can step into the shoes of what the Tigers are doing currently. But it's awesome to be able to do it with the Tigers in our own backyard, and obviously the success that they're having and the city of Detroit's having currently.
You also made an appearance at the Detroit Sports Spectacular, along other Detroit icons, of course, including Jared Goff, who's about to become a dad. Father's Day is around the corner. Happy early Father's Day to you. What is your best parenting advice for Jared Goff?
Be patient. I think for me, the things that irk me the most, your kids are definitely going to do those things. So just learning how to be patient. I think you gain a whole nother level of patience when it comes to your children because they're just, spitting images of yourself.
And speaking of Detroit icons, like yourself and Jared Goff, Frank Ragnow retired. Sort of stunning, came and went. I feel like the news, such an incredible stint, 7 seasons in the NFL. Where does he leave a bigger void? Do you think it's on the O-line or just sort of as the leader and what he meant soul-wise to that team?
Fortunately, there's some guys, we have some veterans in that room, but definitely his level of experience, the level of play that he brought to this team is going to be missed. But you got to respect his decision to take care of his body. It's a brutal sport. He's banging heads with other 300-pound men for 60 plays a game. So much respect to him. What great career. The great things that he's done in helping Detroit in this revitalization here. But it's definitely going to be. It's going to hurt. But I don't think that, just like we stepped up to the plate last year on defense after, guy went hurt or went down, I think that it's just the next man up mentality here in Detroit.
How are you feeling about the Lions?
Everybody asks me that, and it's easy for me now. We got Johnny Moore and we got Shepard. Guys that are familiar. I mean, Shep's been here for, I don't know, that last almost handful of years, probably ever since Dan's been here. Johnny Moe has been here. He wasn't here last year, but he was here. He's seen the team. He knows the talent that we have on offense. And he's been around, the offense that Ben was calling. Not that it's going to be the same thing, but he knows the players. And he's going to know how to get the ball into those players' hands. So I'm not as concerned as I was right when it happened at the end of the season last year.
Everyone's asking you because I think that there are quite, it's not just Johnny Moe who was there in 2022. You're right. He knows everybody, all of that. But when you change, I'm thinking of Jared Goff here, baby coming in. He's going to handle that great. He's a professional. 3 different OCs in your first 3 years. Okay. Changing coordinator, both sides, center, like that sort of messes with things a little bit. If you were to be concerned about one thing with your Lions, what would it be?
If I was also going to be concerned about anything, it would be the O-line. The way our offense moves the ball. And, if I was concerned, I'm not truly concerned, but if there was a concern to be, it'd just be the offensive line because they got to keep Jared up, for us to have success. So for him to distribute the ball to our playmakers, if we could put points up, even if the other team's scoring, we got a chance to win still because we got those guys up. And you got to keep them up. You got to keep them on his feet. You can't get hit early and often.
I was looking at Jared Goff's MVP odds before you came on. He's behind Brock Purdy, and he's behind C.J. Stroud at plus 3,100. He finished 5th last year. What gives here?
I don't know. I'm assuming that it has something to do with the coordinator change. I'm assuming that those folks took that into account here. But I love it. Jared's probably gonna wear that as a chip on his shoulder, as he should.
Yeah. Did you hear that Dan Campbell wants to have a real lion on the sidelines?
All right. Well, I'm keeping my butt in the stands.
you're like Kirby Joseph. I love you, but I'm not coming down there anymore. Can you imagine? Like, I don't even know what that means, but apparently, Sheila Ford has no problem with it. But can you? I mean, what would that do? How would that affect players in any way? What do you think of that?
I'm sure the players would be juiced up. Maybe a little fear creep in, just making sure that everything is secure. But, oh, man, I'm sure the guys got to be turned up, especially if that thing roars a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely horrifying. I want nothing to do with that. When you're talking about roar, I mean, Jared Goff, his whole thing, like, if he can overcome losing Ben Johnson, like that – that's like iconic, and he can do that. And I hope that that's what his future is he's sort of rewritten this narrative. I'd like to see it. I'm trying to gauge a little bit from you how big of a deal Ben Johnson is. Like the loss doesn't seem to be that much, but is the addition to Chicago huge? Like, what's the impact that Ben Johnson will have, you think, as a head coach?
It all depends on his relationship, I think, with Caleb and the protection that he provides for him. I think if he protects Caleb, we know Caleb has talent. Caleb can throw the ball. He can use his legs. He can help to create a formidable force over there on that offense if he can keep him up. I think at the end of the day, I think that's what it really comes down to. I know he'll have the schemes, obviously, as we saw here in Detroit. But a lot of that just comes down to, can you protect the quarterback? Can you give him time to, make those reads and make the completion? So I think that, it's very good chances of having success with the quarterback that he has, because we know that kid has talent over there.
Mm-hmm. When you heard Aaron Rodgers was a Steeler, what's the first thing you thought?
I was like, really? It don't even look right. It don't even seem right. But, they were in need. They were in need. They're looking for a short-term solution, because I can't imagine. I don't even know if they have in their depth, as far as depth in the quarterback room there. But looking for a short-term solution that can get their guy at the ball and potentially get Metcalf and those guys in the end zone.
Do you think that him and Metcalf could have like the best quarterback deep threat thing in the league this year?
I'm actually, I haven't thought about it too much, but the more I do think about it, Metcalf, he's in a great situation. You got a veteran quarterback. You got a guy that can still put the ball anywhere on the field. So if I was him, I'd be a little giddy going into this into training camp.
What else were you excited about? Obviously, you have the Lions. You have everything going on with your golf tournament. We'll get to that. Anything else that you're finding interesting in the league right now? We've got Davante's a Ram. That's weird.
Yeah, all the different moves. People, when you see, people that are staples on different teams and different colors, it's always a little bit of a shock. Like just seeing Aaron Rodgers, and then Steelers uniform. But it'll come to normalcy, here sooner than later once football gets back on television, all day, every day.
Before I let you go, I'm going to go back to Aaron Rodgers a little bit. Week 16, the Lions play the Steelers. Okay, based on contract there's a contract incentives with this whole thing. Here are the odds. We put this together for you, and I probably can't see them on your phone. Here's different like benchmarks. What do you think which of these do you think he's going to hit? Steelers make the playoffs, win wild card round, Super Bowl. What do you think he'll hit?
The Steelers have a chance to make the playoffs, I believe, just because of what Tomlin does every year and the upgrades they made. I feel like they lost one, but they got DK and obviously the upgrade what I believe is Aaron Rodgers. So I think they have a chance to make the playoffs. I will hope that they, for Tomlin's sake, that they win the first round, but I don't know how deep they go because I'm not super familiar to be able to speak on the teams because I'm not sure if they're depth and then they're starting lineup.
And with Devante, and Stafford, when you heard that happened, what would you tell? I mean, he doesn't need advice. Of course, we know that. What do you make of that connection? Will it work? What were your thoughts?
Well, Devante's, I saw Devante grow into a very solid receiver, a great receiver from his time in Green Bay to where he is now. So I think that, him being the veteran he is and Matthew being who he is, even though when a new receiver came to Matthews or came to our team, they always had to adjust to the fastball that Matthew throws. I would imagine, Aaron Rodgers having a similar arm strength, he'll be able to adapt fairly quickly.
How do you build chemistry quickly with Stafford? There's a window here. They got to go.
You work and you talk. You work and you communicate. You put the work in. You show that you want to work because Matthew's going to put the work in. He wants to see that and he wants to have that trust and get that level of accountability in his team members. So Devante's got to go in there and show that, I don't know what year he's in, but that he's willing to work. And even if it's not, so much putting the work in on the practice field, that he's showing that he's willing to, get in there and communicate, maybe go through film, just trying to get on the same page, off the field because they're veterans. They might be limited on as far as practice time goes.
Calvin, in your eyes, how will he be different than Cooper Kupp?
You know what? The difference is in that game. I feel like they have, as far as the plays that they make, the big plays, the kind of the splash plays that they can make, I think they're very similar in that aspect. I think that he just has to come in, pick up where Cooper left off and then some, and then watch Puka do his thing.
We have Joe Haden coming on the show. We're going to talk AFC North, but I don't know if you, I don't know if you're reading these headlines. Looks like you're just having the best off season ever. I'm going to call it an off season, even though your whole life is an off season right now. Trey Hendrickson might be available. Okay. 17 and a half sacks. He's done it twice. One of the best in the game. The Bengals might not get the deal done. If they don't come up with a new deal, is this something that Detroit should explore?
Man, I would love that. See Haden and Hendrickson cross from each other. That's pretty scary. That would be awesome. That would be that would be a dominant move. I don't know if we can afford it, but hey, that'd be a great move.
I mean, Zadarius Smith walked in free agency. Marcus Davenport's there. I love that, but we're getting the Calvin Johnson co-sign and maybe bringing him in. Are you a Terry McLaurin guy?
I love Terry.
What's going on there?
Terry? I don't know. That's weird because you got to
skipping minicamp. What's going on?
I'm assuming it's got something to do with the pay. So pay the man because the man has been nothing but consistent. I don't know Terry very well, but from afar, the guy has been nothing but consistent for that organization. He's been a staple there in Washington for his whole career, and he plays well. He steps up in big games, and I love watching the kid because he's always making plays.
Are you hearing him, Commanders? Are we hearing Calvin Johnson is telling you that he loves Terry?
Come on, Magic, pay the man.
Come on, Magic, pay the man. That's all I needed. That's all I needed to hear. You have two big events, Calvin, coming up, and thank you so much for your time. You are a Hall of Fame soul as well. You have the Calvin Johnson Celebrity Golf Classic. That's June 30th, and the Catching Dreams Football Camp, June 29th. Give me all the details.
Yes. And we're back at the Detroit Lions practice facility for our camp this year, bringing in pros from all different teams, from all different decades. And, just going to try, like I say, all like we do every year, just to try to dump into the kids the tools that we've gained throughout our career and just hoping that they're able to grasp some of those things that we're dumping to them in that limited amount of time that we're able to spend with them. So we look forward to doing that on June 29th here. And then on that Monday, on the 30th, we have our third annual Celebrity Classic. This year we will be at the Cardinal at St. John's Resort. the host of the Live. I don't know if it's the Live Championships or if it's their last tournament, but Live is golf is coming there here in August. So it's exciting. Got a lot of guys coming in. I'm getting better in golf myself, and it's going to be a competitive environment. And I can't wait. I get to see all my guys from my team here in Detroit. Guys that I met from, different sports, different industries. So I'm excited to be able to bring everybody together, hang out, and kudos to all my sponsors. And my presenting sponsors are the Detroit Lions and Stiefel. So thank you very much for them contributing and believing in what we're doing in the community.
Amazing. I'm going to sponsor a hole. I'm going to tell you, I'm sponsoring my own, not the show. I'm sponsoring a hole because I can't make it up there. It is such an amazing cause. And you see when you're there, and it's not just like a couple hours of these guys, Tom. These are legends who are spending 2 days trying to raise as much money, and it goes directly to the kids who need it. And it's really beautiful. So thank you for all of your work. We're going to have a Kay Adams hole there. And I hope it's a hole-in-one hole. Rod Woodson told me he has 5 hole-in-ones in his career. Isn't that insane?
Wow. That's ridiculous. I just want one. I just want one.
Yeah.
One day. It's coming.
I'm going to bring in, before you go, Joe Haden here. Now, you guys have Joe Haden. Welcome to the show. You two have one head-to-head matchup. 2013, week 6. Joe, what do you remember from this game?
I remember that I was a little bit scared at first. I know Calvin, he was one of them. He looks so much bigger in person than he did on tape. So that was the one thing I knew. And then I got a slant route that he kind of beat me on that looked like I broke up. And that was my highlight of the day. He had 3 catches for 25 yards. I remember this like it was yesterday, but he had a slant that he could have caught for a touchdown, threw me out the way, got open, and it just didn't work out. So I was excited that he didn't score on me. But Calvin is the GOAT. Every time people ask me, I tell them he's my hardest cover I ever had to defend.
Yeah, I never had him. What up, Joe, man? How you doing, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing, brother?
I've never had any success on Joe, so that's unfortunate. That's one guy I never really was able to get over on. So that's because he's a formidable opponent, though. That's all that is. That's all that is.
Joe, tackling Calvin had to be terrifying there. I love it. What a day for Joe Fourier. And I love that you remember the exact numbers from that play. You're both goats. Calvin, thank you so much. And good luck with the golf tourney and all of the things going on. Good luck.
Thank you, Kay. Good to see you, Joe. Y'all have a good one.
Good to see you,
Good
brother.
to see you.